Right now, we will take a few questions. We are asking that we are going to select a number of persons, and then we will ask you to raise your question. Is my friend?
Yes, hello.
Do you want to select?
All right, so the first raised hand we had was Kernita Campbell.
Go ahead, Ms. Campbell, with your question.
Okay, we're not hearing from Ms. Campbell. Liana Jiwar. Could you unmute your microphone and ask your question? Oh, Paula, my selection doesn't seem to be working this evening. Tiana William. Tiana William. Your microphone is available. Okay. Miss Alphonse, you can ask, yes, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. Just saying, I'm speaking from St. Lucia. I just have one question that I did not get clearly. I noticed that whilst the presenter was going through the test, that she mentioned, I'm not sure if I got it clearly, that you could submit, and after you submitted, you see the total number of questions divided into those questions that were answered and those unanswered and those that were flagged. My question is, do you still get to do the unanswered questions and the flag questions after you've submitted? I am not sure if I picked up clearly. I must have missed something.
No, once you have submitted your examination, that's the end. So you would have to go back to those questions before you actually click submit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Actually, Paula, I was thinking that I know it would be a little tough for you, but could you just show the platform again? Because I know that quite a few people, it's the first time they're seeing it. And, you know, is it possible for us to just look at that one more time so that you can view the candidate experience, what the candidate will see and what they will do? And Ms. Alphonse, at this time, you'll probably be able to see more clearly what it was she did. All right. So we just go through that one more time. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much for that.
You're so welcome.
So once candidates have logged in, they will select, click here to get ready. And then they will have the opportunity to read the instructions for that particular exam.
I'm not seeing.
At every point, sorry.
I'm only seeing your, yeah.
There you go. Sorry about that. So candidates will then be able to see the instructions for that examination. At every point, the candidate will also be able to see their registration number, which is usually at the top of the screen. Once they have read the instructions, they will select Start the Test. And here they will see the question 1. So each question will appear on a different page. Now this is the specimen paper. So I'm just demonstrating what an exam would look like. So you have question 1. You would listen to the recording and you will select the correct answer. Now this is a language paper, so they have a recording to listen to. In the other examinations, it's just you see the question that is available, you read the instructions, and you respond accordingly. So for question 2, you select the correct response. You move on to question 3. If you listen and you are unsure of what that question is or response is, you will flag that question and then you will move on to the next one. At the bottom of the screen, you will see a flag appear on that question that you flagged. But at the end, when you submit, it will also show you when you click on the submit button, it will show you what questions you have not attempted and those that you have actually flagged as well. So you go through the exam. And you're reading and you're selecting or listening and selecting the correct response. And you're flagging if you so choose. Once you have reached the end, here and before you submit, you can go back to any question. So you have to make sure you do your review before you hit your submit button. So any questions that you have not attempted, you can click on them from here and it will take you directly back to that particular question. If you saw that you flagged 3 and you had not remembered that you had them flagged, even though you can see the icon, but it's in the test, so anything can possibly happen, you can click on the flagged ones, you select the one, and it will take you directly back to that question as well. So this is what a candidate screen is like in the actual examination. Once they have finished, they're sure they're finished, they select submit. They'll be taken back to this screen and they can simply log out of the examination, and that would be the end.
Thank you, Paula.
You're welcome.
All right, so our next question is coming from Wendy Cumberbatch. Wendy Cumberbatch. So we need to get your microphone. My host, Wendy Cumberbatch. Need to.
Yeah, I've allowed.
Okay, so please unmute your microphone. Someone is suggesting that they can't see where to unmute them.
I selected unmute for the person.
She's still muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that my microphone was muted. Am I being heard now?
Yes, you are.
Good afternoon, everyone. Now, I want to find out when is it that e-testing will commence in the region?
E-testing actually started in 2017 in the January session with paper 1s only. We have been testing since that, and we have now expanded to some paper 2s and paper 3-2s. So it has been ongoing regionally.
Okay, so it is being phased in until it becomes the mode of testing.
Yes.
I have some concerns though. I'm in Jamaica and I have some concerns readiness. I think that schools will have to have some alternative power supply because the Jamaica Public Service is known for frequent power cuts, and sometimes there is no prior notification. So I see where some alternative power supply, whether through generators or something, I see where that will be necessary. If it is, well, not if, when this comes on board fully. I see where that is going to be a challenge. And we also have some instability too as it relates to the internet service providers. So I'm just concerned how these nuances will affect the exams and our candidates here. I'm not sure if across the region there are similar concerns.
So, Ms. Cumberbatch, as you would have noticed in the presentation that Paula would have made, she indicated that as we are phasing in, it is not that CXC dictates what happens in the territory, but the ministries are the ones that are advising CXC that they're ready. So your ministry would have been doing their readiness checks and so on, and then they will determine, well, these centers are ready and so on. So we are working to ensure that the transition is basically seamless. We do recognize that there are some areas where the internet is more stable and so on. You do have the fully online mode, the partially online mode, which we are promoting. And we work with the ministries to ensure that as we move forward, that they are ready.
Diane, may I also add?
Of course.
In addition to what Diane has said, we have also had extensive conversations with ministries, and they have been utilizing laptops which would have backup batteries. So during the time of the exam, if there's a power outage, the candidate still has the opportunity to complete the examination.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that information.
Ms. Ramdath, ISA Ramdath, you'll be next. Your microphone is there, yes. Good.
Good day.
Good
Can you guys hear me? Good day. I have some questions. Excuse if you guys says before I came a little later, but I have a question. So you guys proposed the use of paper ones in the majority of the examinations. How will these paper ones be structured as compared to the ones of the past? Will it be similar questioning types, or will the format be revised to more suit this online medium?
The examinations are being offered e-test, and as you would have heard the registrar say, where that is not possible, they're also being offered paper-based. And the examinations are going to be formatted the same way as prescribed by the syllabus.
Okay, and the examinations be written in centers as would have been done in the past, or will it be based out of the applicant's homes?
At the moment, there is no facility for the candidates to take the examinations at home. So we're expecting that the local registrars will determine the test centers as is usual.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you too. All right, we're taking 2 more questions, and so we look for someone else with a hand raised, and we have Ronaldo Thomas. Ronaldo Thomas. Mr. Thomas, just ask your question.
Hi, are you hearing me? Good afternoon.
Yes, we are.
Okay, I'm calling from Trinidad, and I have a question. For usually after the paper 1 or paper 2, the candidate basically receives a candidate receipt stating that where they to show us a sign as verification where they did complete the exam, whether it be paper 1 or paper 2. If it is possible and where we are able to complete this exam through e-testing, will the candidate receive a verification email stating that they did complete the exam in case anything happens?
If I may answer that question, at the moment, there is not a verification email, but the supervisor at the center who monitors the submission will have an indicator on their panel, and CXC will also have an indicator of the submission being completed. Secondly, while the examination is going on, the candidate's responses are continuously sent back onto the server. So should there be a connection failure, encrypted response is on the local machine, so you can't tamper with it, and the partial response goes up to the internet. At the end of the time for the examination, all of that information, if it cannot be sent back to the server, the local supervisor is prompted to save the candidate's work. So unless the machine actually stops working and you can't get to the machine, it's unlikely that the candidate's work would be lost during the examination session.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you too, Mr. Thomas. And Joylyn Myers. Please unmute your microphone. Ravi Nanga.
Yes, hello?
Yes, hello, good evening.
Good evening. I am not entirely clear. In the event your machine crashes, I understand that the answers will be there on the cloud. But firstly, if you do not have a backup machine, what would be the position? And how long would you be permitted to attempt to secure a backup machine?
If I may continue to answer, one of the requirements for the centers offering examinations would be to have at least one backup machine for every 15 candidates who are at the exam center. Now, if that is not the case, what may obtain, and this is at the discretion of the center supervisor, is that the candidate can, in a worst case scenario, be shifted to a paper examination in order to complete the test.
Okay,
but
thank you.
We have not had many of those events in our 3.5 year experience.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you too. All right, we do have a little more time. So Mr. Floyd McCollin.
Diane?
Yes, hello.
While we're waiting, is he answering?
Yes, he's asking.
Okay.
I'll come to you next. Yes, Mr. McCollin, please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you very much. My questions were broadly answered.
That's great.
I really wanted to get the context in terms of this initiative, and from the perspective of the current pandemic. But I think I'm hearing now that it's going to be centered based, meaning students will have to go to centers to answer or sit the exam. And two, I guess it would have been good, maybe time didn't allow, but the history of the whole e-learning, I'm understanding that this was being rolled out since 2017, so for the last 3 years. So maybe some territories are more familiar with it than others. I'm not sure if we've had that experience here in Barbados. I'm actually speaking from Barbados.
Yes, you have, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So then is it? You spoke about demos and the CXC website accessing demos and e-testing, dry runs. Is that available? Do I just go on to the website? Because you also mentioned the school limiting or permitting access. It wasn't clear there. Is it something that we wait for the schools to instruct us on, or do we go as households, as parents, and browse and view the website?
Okay, just bear with me. I will share my screen so that you can see where the demo tests are located. Okay, so on the CXC website, here you have e-tests, and we have a number of demo e-tests available. You have in CCSLC, you also have CSET, you have some paper 1s and paper 2s that are available on the website that the candidates can simply click on the link and they can practice here. Now remember that they are demo tests. So once the candidates have typed in responses here, when they come to submit, there is no availability for submission and there is no availability for tabulation of marks. They're just demo tests to give you a feel for what the examination is like and to give you a view, as I demonstrated on the live demonstration where you see the candidate screen. That was a paper 1 and this is what a paper 2 examination would look like. So you have that facility on the CXC website for the demo tests. You have paper 1s and 2s and some 3-2s that are available. As we go along, we continue to update the website with additional tests. At present, you might not see all of the examinations that you might want, but as we go through, we will continue to update the site, so additional tests will be added. And you also have CAPE examinations. Now, when I was going through my presentation, I indicated that schools can come together and consult with the Ministry of Education, or at times, CXC says we are going to host online pretests in specific subjects. We would consult with the ministries and ask them if they can pull together some schools in their territories to do these particular subjects. Once that happens, we then go ahead and we administer those tests so the candidates can actually do a live pre-test, or the schools can try to test the functionality and the infrastructure in their labs. So they also submit to the ministries and ask for practice sessions, and we can host those practice sessions. You're welcome.
Sorry. Hello?
Yes.
Practice sessions and...
So it would actually be as if you're having a live examination. So you can have the candidates come in, sit in the room, log into Inspira, and actually do an examination.
Right, and that would be through the school itself?
Yes.
Okay, but right now this availability that this demo test is available
on the CXC
right now.
website.
I can go on the website.
Yes.
Okay, and the only difference would be that there will be no submission.
Yes, and no tabulation. There's no tabulation because some persons are thinking that the paper 1s on the demo test, that when they submit they will get scores at the end, but that is not possible.
Okay, all right.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you too. All right, we're going to take our last question for the evening. And we're going to ask T. Hoyt. T. Hoyt? Last question for the evening. Remember that you can continue to submit your queries and we will respond to them.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I'm a teacher in Antigua. I teach English A and B. I would like to know what is the weighting being given to the exams, since it was just the paper 1 and the SBA that the students will be doing.
And I'm going to refer your question to one of our panelists.
Thank you.
So that, Mrs. Manning?
Sorry, could you repeat?
I am querying the weighting being given to papers 1 and the SBA for English A and B.
Okay, so I think in our opening, thank you for the question. And I think in our opening, we had outlined the fact that the assessments will be as we would have had it in our syllabuses for all subjects. So as you would have had it there, that's exactly how it will be done.
Could you clarify, please?
So in the
Nicole,
syllabus, okay.
Okay, yes. So the norm, this is Wayne Wesley speaking here. The normal process for the, or let me put it this way. Our interest is awarding valid grades to students that would be reflective of the competencies that students ought to demonstrate having gone through a syllabus of the nature CXC would have prescribed, whichever of those syllabus or discipline. Therefore, in completing the requisite assessment this year, we will be applying the appropriate weighting that will preserve that integrity, where we are able to make assessment. Because even with the reduced assessment, the multiple choice and the SBAs, it is critical that we still be in a position to assess the critical competencies students ought to demonstrate. And so the respective weighting from subject to subject will be applied that is most appropriate for the awarding of valid grades. In the preparation for the examination, students still ought to follow the structure of what the syllabus says persons ought to know and demonstrate. So we will not necessarily come out now and say to people, multiple choice is 50% or 80% or 20%, because that would then create too much confusion in the system. And I think what we want to ensure is that the approach we are taking will use the appropriate weighting that will ensure that valid grades are awarded and that the integrity of the examination process is preserved as we do assessment across years. Because one of the things we have to guard against, is you don't want anybody to look back at 2020 and say, okay, that was a different kind of arrangement. So we have to maintain certain standards that will allow for the grades to be valid, because we are focusing on the competencies that student ought to demonstrate. So you won't find us right now making any public statement on the weighting, because all of that is pretty much dependent on the various subjects. If you look in every syllabus, there's a different kind of weighting. And for us to begin to speak to a weighting now, it will even bring more confusion to the system. And so our approach is make sure that we stick to what is in the syllabus. We are a criterion reference-based examination. We test against what is in the syllabus. And our emphasis here is that even with a modified examination process, we are ensuring that the requisite skills that are critical to these subjects are actually assessed and maintained.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Wesley.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you so much. Mrs. Manning, you had wanted to say something before, so you have your chance now before we close.
Thank you very much, Dan. I really wanted to encourage all of our parents and students to continue not only to prepare for an exam, but to prepare for the next level. And it's something that's very important, even as we try our best to focus at this time during COVID. I also wanted to add, Diane, the fact that the webinar will be available online, and more important, and also importantly, the timetable will be out next week. So I know questions have been popping up, many questions in relation to when will the timetable be available. It will be available next week, to be posted on the website next week.
Well, thank you so much.
Just to point out, thank you everyone for joining. Just to point out, we have been receiving your questions in our support Fresh Desk as well as in our personal emails. We have been compiling those questions and providing responses. So those responses, those frequently asked questions will also be available once they have been finalized for you. And you can also continue to send your emails to us and we will respond as quickly as we possibly can.
On behalf of the Caribbean Examination Council, I want to thank all of you for joining us today for this session. We hope that you are now more aware and have a little more knowledge about the e-testing process. We do want to extend our best wishes to all. We ask you to continue to keep safe, continue to follow the protocols so that we may remain healthy. And we just wish you a good evening. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank you
everybody.
all and have a good evening.
Stay safe.
Thank you. Stay safe.